Kind of start with the question that probably will seem weird to you, but just have you ever thought of combining a wrestling stadium with a library? So I just think basically we wrote our first two questions just what is a library and what is a community center, and I mean when you guys go to Senegal, kind of if you say to kids what is a library, I mean at least for me I think of books. So how can we get these kids to and these adults to kind of think beyond just books and on a larger perspective? So I mean one thing that I saw in all the pictures and the video was the wrestling matches. So maybe someone wants to talk about that, you know.
We kind of thought of how to combine inside and outside, and how would you separate privacy from inside and outside? If you need privacy, do you want it? Or how are you going to read? What do you want to do in this library? Or who is it going to be for? And what is it going to be for? So,
I think what was important to us too is that we don't need to create a community. We need to create a place for a community, just another place for community to be experienced. So like the community of Senegal or Lambaye is like very strong. We want to have a place for these people to spread knowledge and enjoy each other's company.
So just a few of our diagrams here. First, this one, obviously these are just ideas. I don't know if we could actually do this, but Olivia brought this up. It's basically how, just to combine the communal area with the more quiet area for studying. So just here's more over here. So basically like if we have the communal area in the middle, and then an entrance to here, and basically separating the communal area with the hangout gathering and the studying is bookshelves. So that's kind of the separation, is the bookshelves to kind of like our library at the high school. What you were telling Janice and Joan about was how our library, the quiet area, is kind of separated from the more of the communal area by bookshelves. So just kind of that idea. And then here we basically had, who thought of the arch?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that we did an arch as more of a welcoming. I think it stands out and marks it as a public building. And then this would have been the wrestling or community center. And then these are stairs which serve as doing seating, or you can walk up to the library and inside. So this view is like as if you're looking at it. And then you could either sit or walk up and go into the library. And then the one above it is kind of separated by the bookshelves to go privacy or
Another important question to us was, where do you like to read? We're thinking, do these people want to be reading outside? Do they want to be inside? Is it too hot to be outside? Where could they go inside that's private enough? We don't know if these people want privacy. There are a lot of questions that need to be asked. And are they going to be taking these books elsewhere? Are they going to be reading them at the library? Do we need comfortable spaces?
And then another one of our big issues was sound. So we have all these ideas, we have these aspirations, but if we want to do the kind of outside communal area with the inside more quiet area, how do you separate those two? And do people in Senegal, do they even want that quiet area? Do they want the individual space, or does it all want to be communal? So just basically, I'm not going to read them all, but the questions we had here that I think really are important when you guys go to Senegal to ask, because ultimately we want to know what we may want, but we need to know what they want. Just another thing we were talking about is when you build a new building like this, obviously when it ends up happening, it's going to receive a lot of hype. So how are we going to keep the people going, not to a ridiculous number, and are people from other villages going to see this and want to come and use it as well? So is it going to be so many people there? And I mean, that almost goes to the maintenance issue as well. How are we keeping it under control? How are we keeping it clean and not so many people there? So just a lot to think about.
Mm-hmm. You know, your diagrams actually that you did in the last 10 seconds did a good job of, I see something that you talked about a whole lot, and I think it's good you said it, but I want to pull it out a little bit. When you talked about why will people come here, and how, what will make people want to come here, who's coming and what will make people want to come here. And if I look at the drawing with the big arch, you were saying this place wants to be welcoming, and so how do we bring people in? And your steps going down, we're talking about how do you bridge the things that people already do. So you talked about the wrestling being so popular, or kids coming to school. So your diagram is saying how do we bridge, the place that people know and already. And the same thing with the one that you didn't like, the little one with the circle. You talked about campfire. And again, how does this thing become a place about collective? And how does it connect? I think that's also a Reston thing, that little diagram back there, right? Right. The Reston is the metaphor for a place that people, which is a good metaphor, right? Something that matters, that touches all. I did go to wrestling. Big one.
Oh yeah, you went.
Mr. Sack, you ever wrestle yourself?
It was memorable. So I get it. So I think that, to me, I think you did a good job of using your sketches, all of them, to sort of,
Absolutely.
to put out some of the things you're talking about, which is who's going to come here, why are they going to come here, what's going to make them want to be here, and what's going to want to make them stay. And so that connective thread that your drawings did are kind of the things that are in your list of word questions.
I also think the questions are really smart. They're broad, like they kind of touch on a wide range of issues, but then they get really focused too. So they have a nice scale to them, and they get to the level of information that we really need. And you said there's so many different issues that we have to deal with all at once, and so it's really important to kind of put them out on the table in a forum like this. Does anybody have any answers to any of the questions they asked that they'd like to see or hope for or dream for in this library that you guys will be making? Not yet, it's okay.
I found interesting about the sound thing, not only how do you separate sound, but if they really want sound, if they wanted it to be separate, because as we keep learning, it's really like they love community and they're so together, but do they even want to be quiet and on their own? So
It's a good question.
something to ask.
Maybe we should add that. Do you even want a quiet space? I mean, maybe they don't need quiet to read. Maybe like within the community, they can read just fine. I need like the subway to read, or a quiet space, but they may not want or desire it, so we should ask them.
And just one more thing we were thinking is like, we go home every day after school and we do homework, but do they do that? Like, after
They do
school?
homework, but it's not in the culture to really just like go to the library and pick up a book. From elementary school, basically, for me, from elementary school to almost like 9th grade, I never actually finished a book.
Is that your
Maybe
study
because everybody was
habits, or-
talking.
I was just
You're
doing my
the one who
math.
did that?
You need a library to fix that.
I would do the math and my homework, but we were never brought up to kind of go to the library, have a library card, and borrow a book for a week and then return it.
Yeah, I love that idea you brought up about taking books down.
This is one important American culture that needs to be kind of brought up there.
But
It's not that they can't assimilate that, but it's just that they don't have the means to have a library and make it understand really what a library is for them.
one thing I think we do need to be careful with is that, are we going to be able to change that culture, and do we want to change that culture? So, I think if kids aren't finishing books now,
The best reason